I spent years trying to learn English. Honestly, it felt like running in circles, always moving but never arriving anywhere. I bought the books. I paid for the classes. I even tried watching TV shows without subtitles. Nothing really clicked. I was tired, embarrassed, angry at myself. I thought maybe something was wrong with me. Why could others speak fluently after just months, while I was still stuck repeating basic phrases? One night, after another frustrating lesson, I sat on my bed, stared at the ceiling, and whispered, "Maybe this just isn't for me." But deep inside, I didn't want to give up. I couldn't, because I had a dream. I wanted to travel. I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to feel free. I remember walking into a cafe and hearing two people laughing in English. It felt like magic. Their words flowed so naturally. No fear, no hesitation. And me? I could barely say my coffee order. I smiled, pretending not to care, but deep down, it hurt. I had studied for years. Where was the reward? The fluency? The confidence? Something was missing. It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't effort. It was something else, something no one had told me. Until one day, something changed. A single idea flipped everything upside down. And that's when my real journey began. It wasn't a new course or a secret method. It was a shift inside me, a mindset. I realized I had been trying to learn English like I was memorizing facts for an exam. But language is not math. It's not something you just learn. It's something you live. That realization hit me hard, and it made me ask myself, how would I learn if I stopped trying so hard? That question stayed with me. I started paying attention to how kids learn, how they play with language, how they repeat things they love, how they learn without shame. And I decided I'd do the same. I stopped punishing myself for mistakes. Instead, I celebrated them. Every time I got something wrong, I saw it as proof that I was trying. I let go of perfection. I let go of judgment. I started speaking, even if I sounded silly. I wrote down phrases I liked from movies. I whispered sentences to myself on the bus. I recorded my voice reading simple texts. And for the first time in years, I enjoyed learning. It didn't feel like a prison anymore. It felt like a playground. And that small shift changed everything. People noticed. "Your English is getting better," someone told me at work. I smiled, but inside I wanted to cry. It wasn't that I was smarter now. It was that I had changed the way I saw the process. Before, I was obsessed with being correct. Now, I was focused on being understood. That's when things became real. I started thinking in English, dreaming in English. And when I traveled to New York and ordered food without panic, I realized I had broken free. One video sparked that change. A girl on YouTube said, "Don't study English. Use it, live it, love it." Those words stayed with me. I watched that clip over and over, not because it taught grammar, but because it woke something inside me. It reminded me that I wasn't alone, that others had struggled, that it was okay to feel lost. And most of all, it reminded me that it was possible, that I could speak English fluently, confidently, authentically. So I changed everything. I made English part of my routine, but not in the way school told me to. I didn't sit with textbooks for hours. Instead, I made it part of my life. I listened to English music while cooking. I followed English-speaking creators on social media. I kept a small notebook where I wrote phrases I loved. I practiced out loud. I didn't wait for the right time. I turned every moment into practice. Slowly, without pressure, my English grew roots. I started writing in English, Just short thoughts at first, then full paragraphs, then diary entries. At first, I doubted myself. I erased and rewrote. But then I said, no more erasing. Every word matters. Every mistake is a step. I wrote about my dreams, my fears, my life. And suddenly English stopped being foreign. It became mine, my tool, my voice, my bridge to the world. And every time I looked back at my old self, I smiled and whispered, "Look how far you've come." There were still tough days, moments where I forgot words, times when I froze mid-conversation. But now I had something I didn't before: belief. I believed that I could keep growing, that learning English wasn't a destination, it was a journey, and I was on it, fully, passionately. I stopped comparing myself to others. I stopped chasing fluency and started chasing connection. And the results? Real conversations, real friendships, real freedom. If you're like me, if you've struggled for years and feel like giving up, don't. Please don't. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not broken. You are exactly where you need to be. The only thing missing is the belief that this is possible, because it is. I'm living proof. I'm not perfect, but I'm proud. And I hope you give yourself the chance to feel proud too. Start small, stay kind, keep going. You're closer than you think. Sometimes I wonder how different my life would have been if I had discovered this sooner. If someone had told me earlier that I didn't need to be perfect, that I just needed to be present, that I didn't need to memorize 1,000 grammar rules, but instead needed to open my ears, my mouth, and my heart. I spent so much time hiding my voice, hiding my mistakes, hiding behind the excuse that I wasn't ready. But the truth is, you're never ready. You just start. You speak with the little you have, and every word builds a bridge to the next one. That's what I did, one word at a time. And now, I'm speaking freely. I used to avoid conversations. I'd nod and smile, pretending I understood. I hated that feeling of not belonging, of being on the outside. But one day, I chose courage over comfort. I walked into a language exchange and sat at a table with strangers. My heart was pounding. My hands were sweating. I thought I'd embarrass myself, but I didn't. I laughed. I stumbled. I learned. And something amazing happened. People helped me. No one laughed. No one judged. They listened. And that day, I realized that the world is kinder than I thought. The fear of judgment is powerful. It held me back for years. But fear is a liar. It tells you that you'll fail, that you'll never be good enough. Don't believe it. Replace fear with curiosity. That's what I did. Instead of saying, "I can't say this," I asked, "How can I say this differently?" I stopped focusing on what I lacked and started using what I had. My limited vocabulary became a tool of creativity. And day by day, my confidence grew, not because I knew everything, but because I kept going. The breakthrough didn't come from a book. It came from a moment when I finally decided that I deserved to speak, that I didn't need permission, that my voice mattered. I looked in the mirror and said, "Julian, you've waited long enough." And that day, I recorded my first video speaking in English. I was nervous. My voice trembled, but I uploaded it anyway. And people responded. They encouraged me. They told me they felt the same way. I wasn't just learning. I was inspiring. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline fades. But purpose stays. My purpose was clear. I wanted to connect, to share my ideas with the world, to make friends from different cultures. English became my passport, not just to places, but to people. And when I remembered my why, I found the energy to keep practicing, even when it was hard, even when I felt stuck, because I knew that every step forward, no matter how small, was getting me closer to the life I wanted. You don't need to live in an English-speaking country to learn English. I never left mine. Everything I did from home. My room became my classroom. My phone became my teacher. I turned my world into English, my music, my games, my thoughts. I even changed the language on my social media. I got used to discomfort. I welcomed confusion, because with each uncomfortable moment, I was growing. And the best part? It didn't feel like study time. It felt like living. It's not about how long you've been learning. It's about how you're learning. For years, I measured progress by grammar.
There was a moment I'll never forget. I was sitting in a video call with someone from another country. We were talking about our cultures, laughing, sharing stories, and suddenly I realized we had been speaking in English for over an hour. I hadn't noticed the time. I hadn't translated anything in my head. I was just speaking, naturally, freely. For the first time, English didn't feel like a second language. It felt like part of me. That call changed me. It showed me that all the effort, all the doubts, all the late nights, it was all worth it. People often ask me, what's the secret? And I always smile and say, there is no secret, just a different way of thinking. You see, I stopped seeing English as something I had to learn and started seeing it as something I was already living. I replaced pressure with play. I stopped chasing perfection and started chasing progress. I chose consistency over intensity. 10 minutes every day became more powerful than 2 hours once a week. And little by little, my confidence grew roots. You don't need to be fluent to communicate. That was a huge lesson for me. You just need to be willing to speak, willing to be misunderstood, willing to try again. English is not just a language. It's an invitation to new experiences, friendships, and dreams. When I started accepting that I didn't need to be perfect to be enough, something opened inside me. I stopped being afraid of what people would think and started focusing on what I wanted to say. There were times I cried, times I wanted to quit, days where I looked at my notes and felt overwhelmed. But I kept going. And now I look back with so much compassion for that version of me. He was scared, yes, but he was also brave. He kept going even when he had no result. He kept believing that one day it would click. And it did. Slowly, quietly, beautifully. Now I speak to inspire, to remind others that it's not about talent, it's about trust. Trust in the process. Trust in yourself. I used to wait for motivation to strike. Now I create it. I wake up and choose growth. I choose discomfort. I choose the challenge. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Learning English isn't just about language. It's about becoming a new version of yourself, a braver version, a bolder one. And every time I speak, I remind myself, you built this. You earned this. That kind of pride is priceless. No one can take it away from you. I didn't have a teacher next to me. I didn't have a classroom. I had intention. I had desire. And I had the internet. There is so much out there if you know where to look. Videos, podcasts, communities. I joined online groups. I found speaking partners. I recorded myself speaking every week and watched the videos to see my own progress. It was awkward at first, but then it became exciting. I could see myself growing. And that visual proof, it pushed me even further. Some days I only learned one phrase, but I made it mine. I used it in every sentence I could. I played with it. I let it live in my mind. And after enough days, I had dozens of phrases ready to go. I wasn't memorizing, I was internalizing. That's a powerful difference. Language learning is not about stuffing your brain, it's about lighting a fire. I found joy in the little victories, saying a full sentence, understanding a joke, asking a question and getting an answer. These small moments built a mountain of confidence. What no one tells you is that your voice matters, even in another language. I used to think I had nothing to say, that my accent was ugly, that people wouldn't care. But then I spoke, and they listened. My voice, my story, my heart, they connected. And I realized it's not about sounding like a native, it's about sounding like you. English gave me a new tool to express myself. It didn't erase who I was, it expanded who I could become. Now I help others. I share my story. I post videos. I reply to comments. I tell people the truth. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. The world needs your voice, your ideas, your dreams. English is just the vehicle. And once you stop waiting to be good enough, you'll find that you already have everything you need to start. I believe in that. I believe in you, because I was once where you are now. And if I can do it, so can you. So here I am, writing this in English, a language I once feared, a skill I once thought was impossible. And yet, here I am, sharing my heart, line by line, word by word. I'm not writing as an expert. I'm writing as a friend. Someone who knows what it's like to feel stuck, to feel small, to feel lost. But also someone who knows the way out. And I promise you this, the way out is inside you. Don't wait. Start now. Speak now. Believe now. Your English story starts today.
Every time I open my mouth to speak in English, I remember the boy who used to whisper sentences under his breath because he was too afraid to say them out loud. I remember how he hesitated, how he doubted himself, how he stared at subtitles hoping the words would magically stick. He thought speaking English fluently was only for the lucky ones, the gifted, the rich. But now, standing on the other side, I know that fluency doesn't come from luck, it comes from letting go of fear. That boy didn't need more vocabulary, he needed permission to try, to fail, to grow. And now, I give that permission to you. The day I finally called my first English-speaking client without rehearsing the entire conversation was the day I realized I trust myself now. I trust my instincts, my rhythm, my words. I used to write every phrase down before meetings. I used to panic at the sound of a phone ringing. But slowly, repetition turned into confidence. Confidence turned into freedom, and freedom turned into pride. If you've ever avoided a phone call or a job interview because of your English, I understand you. I was you. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You can build the courage. You can own the conversation. There's something powerful about speaking in a language you once feared. It gives you more than communication. It gives you power. Power to travel. Power to grow. Power to reinvent yourself. When I stood on a stage for the first time and introduced myself in English to a room full of strangers, my voice didn't shake, my hands didn't tremble. I stood there, smiling, and thought, this is who I've become. I had unlocked a new version of Julian, one who believed he could walk into any room anywhere in the world and share his truth. That's not just learning English, that's transformation. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't fast, it wasn't easy. There were months where I felt stuck, days where I wanted to throw my notebook away. But I learned to forgive myself, to take breaks without guilt, to rest without quitting. Because rest is not failure, it's fuel. The old me thought he had to push every day, but now I know sometimes growth happens in silence, in stillness, in the spaces between effort. You don't have to sprint, You just have to keep walking. One of the most surprising things I discovered on this journey was how learning English made me love my native language even more. It helped me see the beauty of communication in all its forms. It made me curious, more empathetic. I started listening better, asking better questions, being more present. English didn't replace my identity, it expanded it. Now, I'm not just Julian from my hometown, I'm Julian, the global citizen, the one who can talk to a stranger in a cafe in London or share a story with a new friend in Tokyo. That's the magic of language. It opens the world. I started sharing my journey on social media, thinking no one would care, but they did. Thousands of people messaged me saying, "Thank you for showing me it's possible." And in those messages, I saw my old self reflected. I wasn't special, I was just honest. I didn't pretend to have all the answers, I just shared the truth. Learning English is a human journey, filled with frustration, joy, doubt, courage, and hope. And if my story could help one person keep going, then every late night and every mistake was worth it. I remember watching videos in English and not understanding a thing. Now I make videos in English to help others understand. That shift still blows my mind. It reminds me how powerful consistency can be. You don't need to make giant leaps, just small, steady steps. 1 word today, 2 words tomorrow, and before you know it, you're speaking. You're feeling the language. It's becoming a part of you. That's what happened to me. Slowly, then suddenly. There were moments I laughed at myself, like the time I said kitchen instead of chicken and ordered a plate of kitchens. The waiter smiled, I laughed, we both laughed. And you know what? That moment stayed with me more than any grammar rule. It made me human. It made learning fun. Don't be afraid of these moments. Collect them. Celebrate them. They are the proof that you are out there trying, living, becoming better every day. Now, I see English as a lifelong companion, not a subject I studied once, but a relationship I nurture. I talk to it, I learn from it, I grow with it. It's not always easy. Some days I feel fluent, others I feel stuck, but that's okay. That's life. That's growth. I've accepted that fluency isn't a destination. It's a rhythm, a flow, a dance, and I've learned to enjoy the music, even when I miss a step. So if you're still on the fence, wondering if this is worth it, let me say this, it absolutely is. English will give you more than just job opportunities or travel perks. It will give you, a version of you who is bold, who is curious, who is free. Don't wait for the perfect method. Don't wait to feel ready. Just start, speak, stumble, smile, and keep going. Your future self is already thanking you.
I look back now and see the journey with new eyes. Every mistake, every pause, every long moment of silence wasn't wasted. It was sacred. It was part of becoming. I used to think fluency was a finish line, but I've learned it's a mindset. It's waking up and choosing to speak, choosing to listen, choosing to believe that your voice matters, even when it shakes. I spent years afraid to open my mouth, and now I speak with heart, with clarity, with purpose, not because I'm perfect, but because I'm real. I remember one day standing in front of a group of international volunteers. They asked me to give a short talk. Old fears rushed in, but I took a deep breath, smiled, and began. My voice carried across the room, and I watched as their eyes lit up. They understood me, and I understood them. That moment didn't just prove I could speak English. It proved that I belonged, that I could stand in any room, in any country, and be part of something bigger than myself. Learning English has shaped my character. It taught me humility, because I had to start from zero. It taught me patience, because growth took time. And it taught me empathy, because I saw how many others were struggling too. Language connected us, beyond borders, beyond flags, beyond fears. I'm not just proud of my progress. I'm grateful for the person I became along the way. Someone who listens deeply, who speaks kindly, who isn't afraid to begin again. There's a fire inside you, waiting to be lit. I know because I had that fire too. I just didn't know where to strike the match. But once I did, once I found the right mindset, the right rhythm, it burned bright. And it hasn't gone out since. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need all the answers. You just need to want it badly enough. Want it more than your fear, more than your doubt. That want, that hunger will carry you. If you're still unsure, remember this. No one starts fluent. No one starts confident. We all start with awkward phrases and nervous laughter. We all start by stumbling. The only difference between those who speak and those who don't is that some kept going. I kept going, and I hope you will too, because there's a life on the other side of this, a life where you walk into a room and speak freely, where you meet people you never could have met, where you feel understood. When I hear someone say, "I'm not good at languages," I smile. I used to say the same thing. But learning English isn't about being good. It's about being open. Open to learning, to trying, to growing. I've seen people from every background, every age, every story, all become fluent. Not overnight, but over time. With heart, with consistency, and most of all, with belief. Believe in yourself, even if your voice trembles. Especially when it trembles. My English has taken me places I never imagined. It's helped me land jobs, travel the world, fall in love. But more than that, it's helped me love myself. The me who didn't quit. The me who kept showing up even when it was hard. I want you to meet that version of yourself too. The one who's just beyond the struggle. The one who's proud, who's powerful, who's free. This is not just about English. It's about unlocking your potential. It's about finding your courage. Every time you practice, you are building more than language. You are building you. And trust me, you're worth building. No one else can walk this path for you. But you don't have to walk it alone. There are millions of us cheering for you, learning beside you, hoping for your voice to rise. And it will. I believe that. I believe in you. If you're reading this far, maybe you're already on the edge of a decision. Maybe you've tried before and failed. Or maybe you've never tried, too scared to begin. Let me tell you what I wish someone told me. There is no shame in starting late, only in never starting. You are not behind. You are right on time. Start with one sentence, then another, and soon your story will flow. I spent years trying to learn English until I saw this, until I saw myself, not as someone failing, but as someone becoming. And now, here I am, writing this in the very language I once feared. This is your invitation, your sign, your spark. If I could do it, you can too. Don't wait. Your future self is ready. Open your mouth, open your heart, and let your voice finally be heard.